I'm excited to give you a quick overview of our LLM as Judge option for evaluating models and how you can use it with custom metrics to get a deep understanding of how different models perform for your data set and your prompts. We built this feature to give users more flexibility on how they evaluate models, especially when using LLM as Judge, but when a single prompt to the judge is not enough, but you actually want to have more control and a deeper understanding of how the new models perform across a variety of different metrics. So this example that we'll show you today is using it for a conversation summary AI, where we actually want to check the summaries generated across a variety of metrics. We want to check the tone, we want to check the truthfulness, the brevity, the comprehensiveness, so a bunch of different metrics around the generated summaries, and want to get a deeper understanding into how the models perform across them. So without further ado, we'd love to give a quick demo of what it looks like on the Datawizz platform. So driving straight in here, we've set up this demo project. I just seeded with some information, and you can see here we have some recorded logs going to an LLM. In all of these, as I said, we're going to use this conversation summary example. So we have a very basic system prompt asking for a nice concise summary. Then we have some conversation between a couple of users, and we have the LLM response actually generating a summary of that conversation. So again, a very simple use case, and you can see that all the logs kind of follow that very basic structure. And now we're going to evaluate a set of models to see how they perform at this task across a variety of different metrics. So to set this up, I'm going to go over to the evaluations tab, and I'm going to create a new evaluation. I'll just call it LLM as Judge 5 metrics. And next up, I'll add the models that I want to evaluate. So let's say we want to compare OpenAI GPT-4o Mini versus, let's say, OpenAI GPT-4o. And then let's say we want to also look at Together AI's deployment of the Llama 3.3 70 billion. So we want to kind of benchmark those three models and see how they perform across our metrics at this task. Now we're going to select data. This is a simple example. We have about 100 recorded logs. We're just going to use those recorded logs. I'm actually going to tell it to only use 20 of them just to keep this short for demo purposes. Obviously, in a real life scenario, you're probably going to end up using a lot more logs for evaluations. And then we're going to choose the LLM as Judge evaluation option. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is actually select the Judge LLM. In this case, I'm going to go with, let's say, Anthropic Claude 3.5. And generally, we do like selecting a different judge than any of the models that we actually use or that we benchmark in the test. We just find that models tend to rank themselves higher, which is somewhat logical. So try to make sure that you kind of choose an objective judge or a third-party model. Probably also recommended to choose a larger model in this case. Now, normally we just go in and provide a single prompt template. So this will run once for every log, for every model, and test out the response. But here we're actually going to go ahead and use the custom metrics option. So this is an advanced menu, which is going to let you define custom metrics. So we can actually go ahead and add a custom metric. And for each metric, we're going to give a name and a specific prompt instructing the model, the judge model, on how to evaluate the generated output for that specific metric. So as an example, we're going to go ahead and start with comprehensiveness. So we basically want to test that the summaries are comprehensive and contain all the key facts from the generated output. So we're going to tell the model to do just that. I've written a basic model a basic prompt ahead of time to do exactly that. So you can kind of read it here. Evaluate a provided summary and rank how comprehensive it is. Does it contain all the key facts pertaining to the conversation? And you can see we're both passing in the conversation because obviously we want to make sure that it's a comprehensive summary of that conversation and the actual generated summary. Next up, we're going to add a couple more of these metrics. I'm going to check for truthfulness. We want to check for brevity, so are the summaries nice and concise like we asked the model in the initial prompt. We're going to check for tone. And again, these are just the ones that we're defining here. Obviously, in a real life scenario, this gives you the full flexibility to define exactly what you want the models to do here. One thing to keep in mind as you define those custom metrics. So here we have 5 metrics that we're using. The way this runs under the hood is this is going to call the judge model once for every metric for every tested model. So in this case, we have 5 metrics that we've defined. We're testing 3 different models. So that's 15 calls per generated log, and we're testing it on 20 logs. So that's 15 times 20 total calls to this LLM as Judge or to this judge model. So just keep in mind that this is all actual API calls that are going to be made to the judge models that you're going to be responsible for. So this is just something to kind of think of ahead of time in terms of costs and rate limits for that model. But now that we have all these 5 metrics configured here, I can actually go ahead and select Start Evaluation, and this will spin up the evaluation behind the scenes. I'm going to pause the video here for a second and come back when we have some data recorded. So coming back here, we can see that the evaluation is now running in the background and the results are streaming in. Obviously, this is going to take a while to run, but we can already see that we're getting some interesting information, some average scores across the 3 different models. Interestingly enough, it seems like the 70 billion Llama model is actually performing slightly ahead of the other OpenAI models. But the really cool thing is with this kind of custom metric evaluation, you can actually pull up the radar charts and understand exactly how the model performs across these different metrics that we've defined. And we can see that all of them kind of struggle with brevity a little bit and with tone. It does seem like GPT-4o blabbers a bit more, so it struggles with brevity a little bit more than the 70 billion and the GPT-4o mini models. So this is a great way to actually understand how those different models trade off and perform across the variety of different metrics that we define, and use that to make a smart decision about which model should go into production for those use cases. So hope this is useful, and as always, let us know if you have any questions about using this LLM as judge with custom metrics functionality on the Datawizz platform.